Hey, what's up everyone? This is Faja and I'm back again with another quick YouTube tutorial breakdown of one of my tracks. This time we're going to go through my newest track called Take Me High, which is a hard groove techno kind of hybrid track. It is hard groove techno, but it's definitely structured a little bit more like club EDM format, but a lot of the same elements. So we're gonna go through it like I usually do and just see what we can learn from it and see how you can layer your tracks as well so that you can make some hard groove techno too. So as usual, we're gonna start from the bottom elements and work our way up. So first thing is the kick. Not all hard groove techno has like big rumble kicks, but for this one I decided to do that. It was inspired a little bit by like the Ephesian style hard groove techno, which I think is really dope. So this was like a kick sample that I just took from a pack I have. It was pretty good on its own, but it needed a little bit of beefing. So as usual, I put on a little bit of kick tweak, transient shaper, give it a bit more punch. These other things aren't on, the clipping's not on. And I noticed it needed a little bit of a sub boost, so I did like that sub frequency boost of the note, the root note of the key that it's playing. I do that on my bass lines, but the kick in this case is the bass line. The rumble is the bass line, so I just did it on the kick. Works pretty well actually on the kick. And then just kind of I don't know why I EQ'd it like that, actually. I don't remember, but it looks like I scooped out some of the very low end very slightly and boosted the highs for some punch. All right, next, we're going to go to kind of the percussion. So there's like a lot of percussion. So obviously hard groove is extremely percussive. It's like tons of layers of loops. So I use various packs for this. I did use one main hard groove pack though. I forget where it's from, but it's got like tons of percussive loops. So it's got like, it's a lot of little elements being stacked on each other. Little hats, just little things. So there's like little, yeah. And the way I kind of processed this was like, I EQ quite a bit of it. Like every element on here gets EQ'd quite a bit. Some of them get sidechained, and they're all taking up very little space. But you know, when you start stacking up like what is it, like 8 of these or something, like then it, you know, you put this big thing together, and a lot of it is kind of listening to everything at once, going back and just seeing. You have to really like reference it throughout your track, making sure that everything sounds nicely stacked together. But the thing that I do though is that with these percussive loops, most of them have like the highs scooped out because I'm actually leaving room for the main hats. So I have like this main hat here. And I really wanted that to shine. And I used just, this is hat sample I got. And just a little bit of EQing, a little bit of soothe-tainment, some OTT, transient shaper, like the same kind of processing I do on most of my drums, just to kind of saturate and make it spark a little bit. But yeah, I'm letting the hat take up most of the highs and letting those percussive loops just take up some of the mids, because I noticed that the highs on a lot of those loops kind of sound, I don't know, just, yeah, definitely very vintage. And, you know, maybe if you're going for like a more classic sounding hard groove vibe, you know, kind of the way that maybe Ephesian stuff sounds or his older stuff sounds, then maybe you want to keep that vintage vibe to it. But I wanted to do a bit of more of a modern EDM-ish take on hard groove. So I decided to add in just kind of more modern hat samples and then let in the percussive elements take up kind of the mid-range. So I also threw in this percussive loop here. This is actually from a hard techno pack, and yeah, it's just also adding some movement to it. And you put all of these together, we're gonna listen to all of these together, and what you get is this. There's a lot going on. There's a clap here too. Oh, and there's also these toms. Like hard groove almost always has like these kind of toms, 707. Very like pitchy kind of toms. Now, I would actually even argue I probably even could have reduced some of the percussion loops here. I always mention this, but right now I'm kind of focusing on pulling back my productions and getting rid of stuff. And this was like a track I actually made a year ago, but it didn't come out until like last week. So yeah, you know, my productions are evolving, but you know, this is fine. But yeah, generally maybe you could even clean this up just a little bit more. All right, so next we're gonna go to this is like one of the main elements in every hard groove track. Every hard groove track pretty much has this, like so many of them at least, and that's the stabs. So like this is like, that's hard groove. So that's just like a sample I got from that pack. It had a bunch of different classic hard groove kind of stabs. What I did was just kind of, I saturated a bunch. With you know, my typical things I go for, like sausage fattener, OTT, a little bit of side Q to boost the highs, side widener for stereo widening, just a bit of EQ, a little bit of soothe, like nothing very different. It's all just about saturation, balancing it, and then maybe cleaning it up if I have to. And that's layered with this stab here. It's just a rave generator stab, like that, what's it called? I don't remember what it's called, but it's a stab. So same thing, just kind of some saturation and EQ. Maybe could have EQ'd it a little bit different, but it's fine. There you go. And then the next main element is vocals. This is a original sample I have.
Go left, go right. Team doing it right.
So yeah, pretty simple. I used AI to kind of make it sound different. I just wanted a different sounding voice. OTT, same old. Vocal synth. There's a preset I like using in vocal synth. I think I used the chorus one, but maybe I didn't here. But yeah, I just added some chorus, a little bit of distortion, just kind of makes it sound a little thicker and nicer. Bit of Echo Boy and EQ. And yeah, then we have like a reverb send here. So that's just so that the reverb I can control, and it's makes the vocal a little cleaner. So there's nothing really that crazy going on. Just kind of scoop the highs and yeah, adjusted it to taste. The vocal bus, yeah, it's just LFO tool. I have this compressor here that's just kind of controlling the peaks of it. Because when Endless Smile is being used here as a riser, it kind of gets extra loud, so I'm controlling that. And I'm also using Soothe to kind of tame those highs that come from that Endless Smile being used. So that's something to use. All right, then next we're gonna check out how about the breakdown. I mean, the breakdown's actually, you know, pretty much the same as the drop. It's just it's pretty much the drop, but minus the big percussive elements. You know, I added a bit of a bass line here, like it's a little respace. It's honestly nothing crazy. It's literally just a respace. Just add some low end, and you know, some claps. You know, with a lot of hard groove, it's the breakdown's actually pretty simple, and it's very like that stab based, and it's just kind of introducing the drop, but minus all the drums. And then you transition into the drop, which is pretty much just the breakdown with all the drums, yeah. And then just layering risers. Like I said, I was trying to make a bit more of an EDM take, like something that I could play in the clubs, in commercial clubs. This is not like traditional hard groove, so I structured the builds and stuff just like I would like a speed house track or whatever. And so there's just, you know, risers that I love to use, a few of those, some downlifters, and there should be a snare build. If I missed, this is the snare build right here. Yeah, there you go. So it's honestly quite simple, that part. And then there's just a little fill. Yeah, so that part's actually quite simple. The second breakdown is more or less the same thing. It's actually just the respace from before being held out, and then I added a bit more, some atmospheric effects, just so it's like a little more ominous, and you know, drops down before going to the second build, which is or second drop, which is a bit more high energy, which is like this. And that's just me chopping up the vocal sample, the second vocal sample, which is literally just from Splice. Nothing crazy. Same, more or less same effects as the other vocal. And then just some sidechain just to make it bounce and glue everything. And yeah, honestly, it's quite simple. Stabs, same stuff. Now, some tips I'd maybe give for this. Well, one here, this crash you're seeing, it's bleeding out a lot. Probably don't do that. Don't make it bleed out like I did. You want to keep things a lot tighter. And because Hardgroove is so percussive, you need to make as much space for things as you can. Otherwise, you just get this big mess. This project file actually used to be a lot dirtier. I actually redid the mix down on it like 6 months ago and cleaned up a bunch of stuff. And it was mainly around the percussion. You don't want to have all these things kind of bleeding into each other. Try to tighten things up like you can. So, for example, I know it's a small difference, but just tighten this crash here. Make it tighter, probably. Just don't let things bleed into each other so much like I did there. And then also, yeah, like probably don't need this many percussive loops. Just use like a couple really good ones. Maybe a bit more. You know, toms are cool. Just don't have too many things bleeding each other, and try to have it really just try to have it take up only as much space as it needs to. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's an interview like in the last year where Afrojack talks about how he opened up his project file for Skrillex, and Skrillex was going through all of his stems, and he was literally just bouncing everything and just cutting the tails of everything and making sure everything was just like the perfect length. And he said that it made his product file like way cleaner. So, you know, try to do something like that. Maybe not everyone's going to be to the extreme of Skrillex, but I think it never hurts just to make sure things are very proper and tight. So try to do that, especially with a style like this. This is, the track's fine, but obviously there's always room for improvement no matter what song you make and who you are. You're probably always going to have ways to improve. So look into doing that if, you know, you're making Hardgroove. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. It's a relatively simple track. Hardgroove isn't usually too crazy. The main elements, again, just the percussion, how you stack them, the kick and bass. This one was just a techno rumble, but I have some other Hardgroove tracks coming where it's more of like a punchy kick with a bouncy kind of bass line. So I have a track like that coming out next week, so maybe I'll do another breakdown on that and you guys can see how that's made. But yeah, hopefully this helped. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover, any questions you might have, and I will see you in the next episode.